What up and welcome to Rama Screen YouTube channel, and here's my review of Max's documentary series Superpowered the DC Story. Let's rock this. Come gather around, my fellow DC fans, because this right here is quite possibly the most quintessential, most comprehensive, most meticulous compilation of DC history that you'll ever come across. Now, I'm sure many of us have seen other documentaries over the years about either Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman that were made either by DC or the fans on YouTube, for example. Well, think of this as like a combination of all of those, plus so much more. I mean, some of the information may be old to us, but some of it are pretty cool new fun facts. I feel happy knowing about it now, storing it in the back of my head, locked in my memory vault for all eternity. Now, the timing of the arrival of this documentary is interesting, seeing that DC live action movies in theaters have failed miserably at the box office, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So it's fair to argue that perhaps this documentary exists as a PR strategy to try to salvage DC reputation as we are now entering the new era of James Gunn's DCU. And this docu does give such a vibe or indication. That said, I do give the directors credit for not shying away from pointing out DC's shortcomings and struggles, not just as an entertainment entity, but also as a business. So, this whole presentation is thorough and beefy and substantive, but if you want to use the word complete to describe this documentary, it might be up for debate. And I'll explain why, so stick around. Directed by Academy Award and Emmy nominated filmmaker Leslie Uwerks and Peabody Award winning and Emmy nominated filmmaker Mark Catalena, and narrated by Rosario Dawson, Superpowered the DC Story is a three-part documentary series that takes an unprecedented look at the enduring and influential legacy of DC, allowing fans to rediscover the universe of characters as well as the iconic comic book company's origins, its evolution, and its nearly 9-decade cultural impact across every artistic medium. Featuring a wealth of interviews with the industry's most prolific creators and the actors who bring their iconic characters from the page to the screen. Superpowered the DC Story reminds us that at the heart of DC are the comics, the four-color fantasies that forever spark the imagination and instill hope. So, part one is titled The Hero's Journey, and it encapsulates much of the key characters that form the DC Foundation. And yes, by that I mean the superhero trinity Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. So, it's their origin, the story behind their creators, how the characters evolved over time, and of course, their transformation into a cultural phenomenon. Episode 2 is titled Coming of Age, and this one chronicles the dark days of DC Comics during their rough years and how time and time again they keep rising from the ashes like a phoenix. This is also the episode that tackles their rivalry with Marvel Comics, of how both properties try to address social justice issues within their superhero storylines, which then gives way to the birth of other imprints that are more diverse and adult-centric. And episode 3 covers the New 52 reinvention, Arrowverse on TV, and the vision for the future, so on and so forth. All the while, it also gives you update on how the comic publishing side is adjusting to the age of internet and social media, etc., etc., etc. Now, heads up, each episode runs an hour plus long. So yeah, This is probably something that you're not going to be able to finish watching in one day if you are a busy guy. And the way that it goes from one segment to the next is not done chronologically. I mean, you would think that the Christopher Reeve part would happen on episode 1, but nope, they saved that for the subsequent episodes. So the structure of this documentary is very fluid. The only visible noticeable pattern is that it jumps back and forth between the comic books and other mediums, including movies, animation, and video games. You see, the comic books are the core spirit of the company. It's their holy grail, their reason for living. And this docu frequently emphasizes that. Yes, Tim Burton's Batman was massive, and these other things could be successful, but it always has to come down to how they can translate that success into reviving the comics again. Now, if you're not comic book fans, don't worry. There's a bunch of DC movie stuff here for you in this documentary. But if you are Snyderverse fans, you might want to level your expectations a bit. Because even though this documentary touches on that DCEU period, Zack Snyder himself does not show up as one of the featured talking heads. This documentary also skims over some of the road bumps, if you will, like Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, Halle Berry's Catwoman, and David Ayer's Suicide Squad. So if that triggers you, that's fine. But in their defense, I'd say this documentary already covers a lot of grounds, including DC's mistakes, blunders, and oversight. And let's keep it real. You can only jam pack so much of 89 years worth of history into 3-hour long episodes. So let me put it this way. Remember how nice it was having that DC fandom event during the pandemic? And they kind of ended it last year, and they're not having it again this year as well. And on top of that, DC Studios is not coming to Comic Con this summer, which bums me out. So, in a way, this superpowered documentary is like a nice replacement, a refreshing alternative, a way to reignite, to reinvigorate, and to remind ourselves of why we like DC in the first place. And yeah, if you want to see Gal Gadot is here showing her face, talking to the camera. And if you want to see Margot Robbie, Kelly Cuoco, Melissa Benoit, Henry Cavill, they're all here. But more than that, what's truly inspiring is seeing the journey of some of the writers and artists from being a kid doodling in their bedrooms to end up becoming a power player within the company and the industry. Their belief in their favorite DC characters, their belief in what DC stands for, what DC means to them, even when the going gets tough, is what being a DC fan is all about. And that, my friends, warms my heart. So yeah, overall, I give Superpowered, the DC story, the rating of 4.5 out of 5. Look, if you claim to be a hardcore DC fan, then this documentary is like a Bible that you'll have to digest. So that's it. That's my review of Superpowered, the DC story. Smash that like button, share this video with everyone you know, share your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, subscribe. Let's rock this.